What sorts of people or what sort of conditions tend to trigger the need for occupational therapy support?
Now it's anything and everything. For any reason that somebody can't do the things that they need to do, an OT can help.
Hello, Stephanie. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad. I'm Luca, obviously, and this is Stephanie from Think First Therapy. Welcome to the Carecast. Thanks for taking the time to join us.
Thank you, no problem. It's think therapy first. It's
Ah,
white words, but it doesn't
think,
matter.
sorry.
Don't worry at all.
For our listeners who might be new to occupational therapy, can you tell us what it represents? What does it mean?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's one we get asked a lot, actually. So, occupational therapists, we are working with anyone that has a health condition or has gained an injury and they are having a bit of difficulty getting back into their roles and their responsibilities, essentially. And we look at three things predominantly. So, we look at them as a person, what makes them, the things that they like to do, the things that they have to do, like being a parent, working, household chores, all of those things, their hobbies. We look at their environment, so home, work, the community places, and we look at the roles that they do. And we will identify how their injury or their illness, long health condition is stopping them from being able to do the things that they want to do. We consider those areas, make the adaptations, or we build in rehab to get the person back up to being able to do it.
When did the words occupational therapy first start being used, as far as you're aware? Is it a relatively modern sort of phenomenon? You can't imagine 100 years ago there were occupational therapists, but
No. That's a really good question. I don't know.
I'm putting you on the spot there. That
Yeah, I should know this. I'm letting down every occupational therapist now. Yeah, I don't know. The Royal College of Occupational Therapy has been around for quite a while, I
sort
wouldn't
of
say.
50s, was it? Or
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, that's really embarrassing.
no, it must have evolved. Though. It's not like most professions and specialities, but it's becoming more and more prevalent, really, isn't it? But
Yeah, absolutely. And occupational therapy now is we're seeing it in so many different roles in different areas in places that and certainly I, as when I qualified, never thought would work in. I read an article the other day that some OT students are working in a library. And that's not
right.
somewhere where you would think, yeah, but they're finding the roles because of the way that we look at the world and the person.
What if you're studying to be an occupational therapist? What are you looking at? Is it a postgraduate course or is it a graduate course?
You can do INES, you can do it's normally the BSc, but you can go in at a postgrad level for it. Yeah. And it's a combination of you're learning your foundation year is all about anatomy and physiology. So we link in with a lot of the nurses that are training and physiotherapists, because obviously there's some similar and some overlaps. And then you go into kind of the more of the health conditions and the long-term effects, as well as learning all the different other areas that we cover. But yeah, back in the day, it used to be said that we had a bit of training that was like nursing, psychology, a bit of kind of undergraduate, doctorate kind of things. It's evolved from there, but yeah, it's a combination of things.
What sorts of people or what sort of conditions tend to trigger the need for occupational therapy support?
Now it's anything and everything. Um, for any reason that somebody can't do the things that they need to do, an OT can help.
Yeah.
Absolutely help. So whether that's like an osteopath arthritis or a limb loss, anything.
Yeah.
Pain, chronic fatigue, brain injuries, anything and everything.
And what's a typical occupational therapy evaluation like? And is there any specific process that you would go through to get to what information you need to know?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have different frames of models or frames that we are using, but essentially we do a combination of what we call functional assessment. So seeing somebody doing the things that they need to do, plus doing some observations and some talking to understand, but we're essentially looking at that them as the person, the environment and the occupation, the task itself. That's the three things that we're working with there.
Yep. And can you describe what sort of activities happen during an occupational therapy session or exercises or interventions?
Yeah, I mean, there are always creative and active sessions, and it's completely based on the goals of the client. So, in my Think Therapy First role, and what we do is we're getting to know the person and knowing what motivates them and what really drives them. we will do the rehab in the activity that person enjoys. So I'll give you an example because that's probably the easiest. So there was a lady I was working with a significant brain injury. So her cognitive abilities were really challenging for her. She had difficulty with her mood. She was overwhelmed very easily, and exposure to loud noises and things was really tricky. Her passion was just anything to do with animals, absolutely loved animals. And rehab was quite challenging for her to be able to engage in. So, what we did was went to a local RSPCA shelter, and she did a little bit of volunteering. And then, in that activity of stroking a cat or feeding a cat or something, we were building in the cognitive elements of rehab, the physical elements, the well-being elements, the environmental changes that we need to make to enable her. So wrapped it all up in something that was really meaningful to her so that she could really engage in it and get the most out of it and it not feel like a therapy session, really.
And what difference did it make to her, practically speaking? And what did it bring her stress levels down?
Completely. It just opened it up completely. It went from feeling quite confrontational to her or feeling very uncomfortable in this, and I think the power dynamics, she felt that there was there and wasn't comfortable with it, to us sitting beside each other with cats on our laps and actually doing the rehab. It made a huge difference to her, and essentially through the rehab that she had, she got back to work, and that was never in hospital. She was told she would never work again. So for her, it was huge.
Really? Yeah, it's a bit of a bad practice, really, isn't it, to tell someone they'll never be able to do this again, or never, unless they're trying
Really,
reverse psychology or something where
I
they're
know. It's really interesting. I was literally having that conversation the other week because so through Think Therapy, we're working with people who have had serious catastrophic injuries. And the amount that we see that will say, oh, the consultant or whoever said, I'll never walk again. I'll never be able to pick my kid up off the floor or play on the floor and things. As an OT, we're like, okay, that's the challenge set. We're going to build the MDT, work with the physios and everyone. And I guess I can see it in that you've got to set expectations, haven't you? If someone's had an absolute catastrophic injury, you know that their life is going to be forever different. I can see you've got to set some expectations, but it does put a limit on, doesn't it, for people? And yeah, I was having that conversation the other
I
day.
suppose it depends on that individual person's personality. Some people will tend to kick against the thing that they've been told, but think, "Oh, okay, I'm going to prove
Yeah,
that person wrong." Other people may then behave that way to the rest of their lives and think, I've been told I won't be able to do this, therefore I won't. So I suppose if you
yeah,
could identify that you're saying that thing to the right sort of people, then you'd be okay. But it might be
yeah.
it's a sword that cuts both ways, really, isn't it?
I know, absolutely.
How many think therapy first? How many occupational therapists do you have?
We've got
And where do you operate across the country?
Yeah. So we're a nationwide company. We work with people of all ages and all injuries or health conditions. We've got about 120, it varies, but about 120 occupational therapists, and they're all specialised in rehabilitation. They're not all working on cases at the same time. There's probably about 80 of them working at the moment on cases, but they're ready
Yeah.
to work.
And obviously, as a company, you're wanting to keep standards really high of, on the with the services that you provide, but also allow
Yeah.
each therapist to do it in their own way and use their own experience and intuition and whatnot. How do you balance those two things? Keeping things fairly standardized, but also not squashing the therapist's a bit natural abilities and their own experience and intuition.
Yeah, and that's a really important thing for Think Therapy First, because as occupational therapists, a challenge we have is when you work in statutory services, you're working in an area where you have only certain things that you can work on. So if you're working in an acute ward, then you've only got a set realm, haven't you, that you can work on, or the same as in the community, it's only to a certain extent. Whereas the work that we're doing with Think Therapy as an OT is phenomenal because we're working across somebody's whole goals, everything that they want to do, and they don't have multiple OT. So they don't have the vocational OT plus the housing OT plus the whatever OT. The OT does that. So it comes very much comes back to using our OT assessment skills and our treatment skills, really getting to know our client, the person that we're working with, as to what motivates them. And then it's the OT skill set and their creativity, being able to create the sessions to follow those models, the rehab through cognitive rehab, physical rehab, through all of those. So it's a really nice combination actually of being able to do that, so that across the country who we're working with, they're getting the same level, that really high level of standard, that really specialized. But as the OT doing it, you're really using your skills and being autonomous and being able to change those sessions and things.
What's the most unusual intervention or sort of action that you can remember yourself or one of your colleagues
Mm.
cooking up to help the individual? Obviously, there's things like taking people in a car or walking, or maybe combining the therapy with exercise or
Yeah.
activities with animals. But is there anything that sort of stands out to you?
Yes, I love that question. I think so. One of the things that we do at Think Therapy First is we have projects. So each of the people that we're working with, they'll have something, that thing that you've always wanted to do, whether it's, I don't know, run a marathon, build something, learn a new skill. And so we identify what that is with them. And then they're working on that outside of their therapy sessions. So again, it's that thing that's really important to them, and it gives them a reason to get up and do things, and it incorporates everything. And there's been some really cool stuff done through those projects. So there was their ultimate aim was to get back to work, but they weren't able to go back into the job that they were doing. So their project was to and she wanted to be a tattooist. So her project was like learning and training to be a tattooist, which was cool. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do that because I'd have loved that and would have been very happy to be a dummy to be practiced on. But there's been some great things, some great like charity things, big walks, lots of raising money project. Somebody built like an amazing, they loved model railways, and they built a village, I guess, out of things, and had a railway going through it, and it was phenomenal, really great. So some loads of creative stuff, really exciting stuff.
There's no real sort of limitations, the activity that you could use or help
No,
someone.
I mean, yeah, I mean, we're risk assessing, and we are making sure that we're not overly stretching the person. That we will grade. So if somebody's goal is up here and their abilities aren't there, then the rehab we're putting in is to help them get up to that level, and but also so that they really understand how what they're doing links into that kind of final goal and their broader goals. Yeah, it's lovely to do and be part of and to see.
Yeah, it must be amazing. How do you typically measure someone's progress from the interventions you use? What do you tend to make as key observations to measure that?
Yeah, so we will use a combination of their goals and working with, are they in progress? Are they achieved? Are they achieved? And then are they maintained as well? Because it's one thing to achieve them, but you've got to maintain them as well as doing the next thing. So that's a big one. We also do clinical assessments that run alongside it. So they're all dependent on the person and the areas that they're having difficulty with. But that's generally, there's some physical elements to it. So we'll do some muscle testing, some range of movement testing, draw the limbs with fingers and hands. There's some cognitive screens that we'll do. There's functional assessments that we'll do, and we'll look at the level of activity. So we'll look at, can somebody wash and dress at the pre-injury ability or within their ability. So there's all those sort of things that we're looking at, and
Right.
we run those every month, because that way you can pick up on the small increments as well, because they're easy to get missed.
Absolutely. I noticed on your website you talk about do you call it the SROT approach or the
Yeah,
SROT? Yes.
yeah, smart. Yeah,
Yeah.
and as I
You,
do it. Yeah.
oh, well, and what is that, and how does it compare to traditional rehab methods?
Yeah. So it stands for Specialist Rehabilitation Occupational Therapy. And it's where, as occupational therapists, we have gained experience in working with people across all different ages, different conditions, and different injuries. So we've got experience in acute and community settings, and we've got that experience of there's multiple injuries plus having health conditions as well, because you don't just have one, you don't just have a broken leg, or you don't just have a brain injury. There's multiple things that go with it. So the specialist rehabilitation is really about having that high level of rehab experience and across different settings, and being able to know, what places to go to do those sessions, and grading all of those activities.
Typically, if someone's had an accident or an illness which has led to significant impairment, they might have a team of professionals looking after them, psychologists, physio, speech and language therapists, and an OT. How do you collaborate with other healthcare professionals to try to get the best outcomes for?
We love that person. Yeah, we love that. That's what makes the absolute difference to someone's rehab and to that person, is that collaboration. So in our occupational therapy role, right from our training, it's embedded that we work across and with those MDTs, and that we're practicing everything that's learned in all the other sessions. So what you're learning in psychology and in a different setting, we're then practicing in all of those places that person needs to be. So that is on the bus, that is under the bed when you're trying to get a cat out and they're having a panic attack or something. We're doing those across there. So we build really tight relationships with the rest of the MDT. With Think Therapy first, we work alongside obviously the existing MDT that's there, but we can also build the MDT as well, because we use local OTs, the specialist rehabilitation occupational therapists. You've got your go-to people that you know that you've worked with in the different settings and the different places. So those relationships are really key.
And how about sort of carers or living carers? Do you ever work alongside carers and support carers to deliver interventions for clients to help them get them back on their feet, so to speak? Do you tend to work quite closely with carers?
Yeah, absolutely. Really closely. It's really key, isn't it? And they're the eyes and ears, aren't they? They're there every day through every moment. So yeah, such a valuable part of the MDT. But yeah, absolutely. So we do work in a number of ways with carers in terms of how to do manual handling and reviewing that, reassessing that, and making the recommendations as that changes. But also for looking at ways in which the person can be part of doing their care, so that it's filled with them and not for them. Even things of hoisting and how you get someone in that, the hoist, all of those day-to-day things. So yeah, lots there.
So obviously, to have the support and coordination of a team of professionals and carers is really important. What's your view on the wider support network for clients, family members, and friends? How do you involve them to the extent that they should be involved?
I mean, they can't not be involved. Absolutely, they are absolutely critical, and it's that support network that's going to be there every day and then long after different people are involved. So they are absolutely key as to that person and that support network. So we're very closely building those relationships and getting the balance right, because it's hard on family members, isn't it, and friends, because as a partner, you're a partner, and then you might suddenly be doing some personal care and things, and those relationships shift. And we're very much looking at how do you maintain those relationships and still enable them to be part and do the things that they want to do. And then vice versa for the person that's, injured or not able to do the things. So yeah, they're absolutely key. And as OTs, that's fundamental to what we're working for.
I think therapy first, obviously, it must be making a huge impact on people's lives across the UK, especially given the numbers of OTs that you have on your books and the quality of the work you're doing. But where do you see things going for Think Therapy first? You've obviously made big strides, but what will happen over the next 3 to 5 years, do you think?
Yeah, it's really exciting. So a couple of things was our aim is to help people to get the right rehabilitation, but alongside this, so we want to grow, we want to help more people, but alongside that, we're investing in supporting students, so supporting new OTs and the other professions coming through, and to share that experience and what we're learning, but also in supporting people that don't know anything about occupational therapy, don't know anything about rehab, as to what that looks like, how to choose. We want to be that voice and representing everyone there. So we're doing lots of work around that. So supporting the communities that we're working in as well, with supporting occupational therapists and everyone through that. So we've got big plans.
Amazing. Really lovely to see you again, Stephanie. I hope to see you soon. Thank you for your time.
Oh, well, thank you. Lovely to see you and speak with you.
Nice to see you. And thanks to our listeners. Thanks for listening. Join us at the Carecast again. I'll see you later.